As a candidate in 2024, President Trump promised often to end what he and other conservatives describe as woke policies.
On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto our children.
And on his first day in office, he did in fact sign executive orders rolling back policies around diversity, equity, and inclusion.
DEI is seemingly dead.
A January order gave the federal government 120 days to identify so-called discriminatory DEI practices.
Ordered that all federal employees with DEI jobs be placed on paid leave.
An executive order which also revokes protecting people seeking certain federal positions from being discriminated against based on their race, color, sex, and religion, among other things.
The executive actions and policy changes have continued over the last 6 months. In the military and the federal government.
We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military.
With affirmative action and in education and transgender rights.
We have removed the poison of critical race theory from our public schools, and I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
In the last 6 months, we've seen the most aggressive assault on the progress we've made in modern American history. But it's bigger than politics because it is a broad-based assault using public policy as a weapon against equal opportunity.
That's Mark Morial, the president and CEO of the National Urban League. Consider this. The Trump administration says DEI policies are themselves discriminatory. One of the oldest civil rights organizations in America isn't buying that. It says that in 2025, the administration's actions have created a state of emergency for Black Americans and undermined democracy for all Americans. From NPR, I'm Juana Summers.
This message comes from Sattva. What does it take to be the GOAT? For athletes, it's more than just talent and dedication. It takes the quality sleep necessary for recovery. Sleep which has also been proven to improve athletic abilities and increase energy. Every Sattva is designed for that kind of sleep, which is why they were named Best Luxury Mattress by SleepFoundation.org. Save $200 on $1,000 or more at sattva.com/NPR.
Support for NPR and the following message come from Washington Wise. Decisions made in Washington can affect your portfolio every day. Washington Wise from Charles Schwab is an original podcast that unpacks the stories making news in Washington. Listen at schwab.com/WashingtonWise. This message comes from Capital One with the Capital One Saver Card. Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Details at CapitalOne.com.
It's Consider This from NPR. For 49 years, the National Urban League has released a report it calls The State of Black America. This year, its title is State of Emergency, Democracy, Civil Rights, and Progress Under Attack. What does it mean that one of the country's oldest civil rights groups is now declaring an emergency for Black Americans? Mark Morial is president and CEO of the National Urban League.
Great to be with you.
I want to start off with that question. Briefly describe for us the state of emergency for Black America that you see and spell out in this report.
There's an unprecedented attack on the gains of the last 70 years. And think about it. 70 years ago, Brown versus the Board of Education began the dismantling of segregation in America. 10 years later, the passage of the Civil Rights Act. For the first time, there were legal protections against discrimination in fact, not just discrimination in law. That effort is being attacked viciously now. And how is it being attacked? Voter suppression. An attack on equal opportunity under the guise that somehow equal opportunity is discriminatory in and of itself. That's all the attacks on DE&I are. And the cutbacks on government initiatives and programs, whether it's Medicaid, food stamps, education, veterans benefits, that help make America stronger and better and create opportunity for all. Taken together, in the last 6 months, we've seen the most aggressive assault on the progress we've made in modern American history.
There's a lot to dig into here, so I just want to pull apart some of the specifics. You mentioned the war on policies supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, which I'll note has been happening for a few years now. To your mind, what has changed since people who oppose these types of policies came into power in the federal government in 2025?
Think about the executive orders that seek to shut down the enforcement mechanisms, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the Department of Education, and the complete change in mission of the Civil Rights Division. All of these specific things, when taken together, just simply represent an assault on the idea of equal opportunity, on the idea of racial justice, on the idea of, yes, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is a strength of America, a powerful, powerful strength of America. And that is why so many of us have had to stand up a very strong effort to resist through the courts. Some are protesting. We're doing everything possible to try to slow down this movement. And it is a movement. It's called the MAGA movement. You can call it that. But it's bigger than politics because it is a broad-based assault using public policy as a weapon against equal opportunity.
You mentioned the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division here, and I just want to present you with something that the department posted on the social media site X, formerly known as Twitter. They point out that the Civil Rights Division has returned to enforcing the law as written, fairly, equally, and without political agenda, end quote. How do you read that?
It's a bogus argument. It's a cover story. It's a smokescreen behind the effort to weaponize the Civil Rights Division. Why would you suspend all the civil rights cases that were pending when you took office? Why would you go to court in Louisville and suggest that an officer who had been convicted of a crime get a one-day sentence for shooting into someone's home after a jury that heard the evidence said he violated her civil rights? And
you're talking there about the case related to the killing of Breonna Taylor.
Yes, and the sentencing guidelines recommend a sentence of multiple years. The department's rhetoric rings hollow with many of us because what we understand is that it is a diversion. It is trying to divert people away from the real facts, is that they're saying we're not going to prosecute police officers who violate people's civil rights. We're not going to attack corruption in police departments or systemic, if you will, corruption or brutality. Instead, we're going to use the Civil Rights Division to wage war on our political enemies.
Harrison Fields, who's a White House spokesman, has said that civil rights groups that oppose the Trump administration aren't, and I'm quoting Harrison Fields here, aren't advancing anything but hate and division while the president is focused on uniting our country. Mark Morial, this administration has repeatedly touted and tried to showcase efforts to promote what it calls meritocracy, and it argues is equality of opportunity. What do you make of that?
The key is merit for who? And what civil rights laws are about are merit for everyone. In other words, give everyone with merit an opportunity. Historically in this country, we did not. Merit meant white men. That's what it meant in fact. And that is how the country was organized until the civil rights laws got passed.
What would you like to see in response to these actions we've been discussing from the Trump administration? What's the playbook?
Well, I think it's going to require a change in policy. It's going to require a change in approach. We're not going to get that with the Trump administration, clearly. So I think all roads are going to lead to the next set of elections in this country, where Americans are going to have to vote on what they believe the policy and the approach ought to be when it comes to civil rights and equal opportunity.
This report is the state of Black America, but I just want to ask you, what do you hope that all Americans of all races take away from this report?
I'm glad you asked that question because in many respects, while it is a State of Black America report, it is more a State of the Union report in this climate. The attacks on the rule of law, the attacks, let's just take diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion benefits women of all races, and has substantially benefited white women. It benefits Latinos. It's benefited those who are disabled. It's benefited large numbers of Asians. I mean, the concept of diversity has been about taking those who've been locked out, left out, and marginalized and giving them a real opportunity to advance into the American mainstream. And so this report is for all Americans. We should understand the Founding Fathers said that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal. If those principles mean something, then a more diverse America, a more inclusive America is the way.
We've been speaking with Mark Morial, President and CEO of the National Urban League. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for having me.
This episode was produced by Mia Venkat with audio engineering by Jay Sizz. It was edited by Patrick Jaron-Watananan and Nadia Lancey. Our executive producer is Sammy Yanigan. It's Consider This from NPR. I'm Juana Summers.
This summer on Planet Money Summer School, we're learning about political economy. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of what government does with things like trade, taxes, immigration, and healthcare.
So politics and economics, which are taught separately, they shouldn't be separated at all. I think you have to understand one to really appreciate the other.
So what is the right amount of government in our lives? Tune into Planet Money Summer School from NPR, wherever you get your podcasts.
At Planet Money, we know that economic jargon can sometimes feel like speaking another language.
Yeah, like arbitrage, alpha, autarky.
That's just what's in the news these days. There's also absolute advantage, aggregate demand,
aggregate supply, and this is just the A's.
Oh, animal spirits.
That's a pretty good one. Planet Money from NPR. We help you translate the economy so you can understand the world, wherever you get your podcasts.
Want to hear this podcast without sponsor breaks? Amazon Prime members can listen to Consider This sponsor-free through Amazon Music. Or you can also support NPR's vital journalism and get Consider This Plus at plus.npr.org. That's plus.npr.org.